Something I've always loved about Pokemon is all the different ways you can get attached to an individual species. It's so fun to talk to other Pokemon fans and find out exactly how their favorites became their favorites, because more often than not, it's a story completely unique to them. But something I think is just as interesting as how someone starts to love a Pokemon is when someone starts to love a Pokemon. Everyone has that one favorite they've stuck with since the first time they saw it or used it in their childhood, but the longer you spend with the series, the more likely it will be that you form connections with Pokemon you've known about for years, but are never really given the time of day. This latter case is the coolest to me, because it means that no matter how long you've been playing, you can always get that feeling of growing to love a new Pokemon all over again. Especially over the last few years, I've become infatuated with a lot of designs I previously couldn't have cared much less about, but one pair of Pokemon in particular that have recently been catapulted all the way up into my top 10 are Feebas and Milotic. I've always liked these two for their endearing designs, and I've always thought it was so neat how you really had to put in a lot of effort just to even get one of them, but the personal connection was never really there. That would completely change over the course of my journey to get a shiny Milotic for my Platinum Dream Team quest. Now, I've done dozens and dozens of 8192 shiny hunts before, and most of them don't lead to me finding a new favorite. But my journey to find shiny Feebas would end up being so ridiculous and lead to a moment so unbelievable and special that I had no choice but to adore it. So grab your bait, lures, and silly hats, because we're about to catch some fish. And by some fish, I mean 46,000 fish. Our story begins all the way back on Christmas Day of 2021. This was the day I started my aforementioned Platinum Dream Team quest, of which Feebas was slated to be the 6th and final member. DTQs are my favorite way to shiny hunt, and Platinum is my favorite Pokemon game, so I was incredibly excited to start hunting for it. I was particularly happy with the team I chose. While none of these Pokemon were any of my absolute favorites at the time, it was still a killer lineup of gorgeous shinies I had been longing to hunt for years, while also fulfilling a bunch of other criteria I care about in a team. This DTQ was a departure from all the other shiny hunting I had done up to that point, and that I finally started doing hunts where my target shiny wasn't the only Pokemon I was seeing. This meant that there would be an often fairly high chance that I would put in the huge amount of time and effort required to get a 1 in 8192 shiny on a single game just for it to be the wrong species, something shiny hunters call a phase. Throughout the whole DTQ, my luck was pretty up and down. Unlucky events like going to 18,000 for Rotom, 36,000 with 3 phases for 33% male Curlia, and doing a ridiculous 27,000 encounters without a single shiny while hunting 50% Houndour were offset by lucky ones like getting a 1 in 8 female shiny Turtwig and somehow getting the 5% Scyther I really wanted as my only phase for 30% Swablu. While my luck wasn't actually as bad as it felt, all things considered, by the time I started the Feebas hunt, I had done over 100,000 encounters and spent almost 3 years on just this one copy of Platinum for just this one DTQ. Understandably, I was more than ready to be done with the whole thing. I did have to keep my expectations in check though, because Feebas would be my first ever fishing hunt, a type of shiny hunt that carries with it some pretty unique and annoying hurdles. Firstly, there's a standard timing-based fishing minigame to even get an encounter in the first place, meaning unlike most shiny hunts, I would need to pay complete attention to my game most of the time. The most annoying hurdle, though, was the fact that the abilities Suction Cups and Sticky Hold that normally double the chance to get a bite when fishing are bugged not to work in the Sinnoh games. Since this was a DTQ, the post-game Super Rod was off limits and I was stuck with a good rod and its 50-50 coin flip chance to get a bite every time its line is cast. I was usually able to keep my patience with this, but naturally there were times when the fish were just not biting, and all the time spent reading the same not even a nibble message almost 50,000 times really added up. While those of you familiar with how Feebas works in these older games are probably expecting me to have another huge issue with the fact that Feebas is only encounterable on 4 measly tiles in this giant lake, and all those tiles take hours to find just to change places every day, this actually wasn't a problem at all. In the Gen 4 games, if you change the clock on your DS, many clock-based events will be temporarily frozen. This was intended as a penalty to prevent you from doing things like skipping the waiting period for berries or honey trees, but for Feebas you can actually use it to your advantage by triggering the penalty on purpose, which will lock the Feebas tiles in place indefinitely as long as you make sure to reset every time midnight passes with the game running. After a quick few hours of going up and down the lake, I was able to locate a Feebas tile and start the hunt. Things started off pretty smoothly. Despite this being my first reaction time based shiny hunt, I was able to get into a good groove with it pretty quickly and was overall having a really fun time fishing. I did run into one issue though. Remember when I said earlier that you have to reset at midnight or the clock would unfreeze and your Feebas tiles would change? Well, it turns out it was harder to remember to do that than I thought it would be, so on a few occasions I ended up accidentally doing a few hundred encounters on a non-Feebas tile. Because of this, I decided to set up a reminder alarm on my phone that went off every day at midnight, which I lovingly called my fish alarm. With that problem mostly taken care of, it only took around a month of fishing for me to hit that elusive 1 in 8192 chance. Of course, by that I'm referring to the odds of getting 13 not even a nibbles in a row. Thank you, unknown coder who messed up the suction cups code, very cool. While this was annoying at first, the longer the streak went on, the more it started to just be funny. Fortunately, after that silly little occurrence, it only took a few more weeks for me to find the first shiny of the hunt, a Barboach after 8,244 encounters. This shiny was super unique in that it was the first time in almost 7 years that I found a shiny while away from home. When I fished up this creature, I was in the middle of a long drive in the middle of nowhere in Iowa, a state I almost never go to. This shiny is also memorable to me because of a silly interaction I had with my friend Fish Whiskers, who I thought of when I got the shiny because Barboach is a fish with whiskers. Unfortunately, he didn't quite get what I meant at first. Anyways, I was pretty happy to get a shiny Barboach out of this hunt, as it was really the only time I would ever have a chance to get one in Gen 4. I like Barboach and its shiny quite a bit, but definitely not enough to actually hunt one, and Feebas is pretty much the only hunt in Gen 4 with Barboach as a possible phase, so if I didn't get one now, I probably never would. This absolutely does not apply to the other Pokemon Feebas shares its encounter table with, Magikarp. While I do really like Magikarp, it's not exactly a hard shiny to get, and I also eventually wanted a shiny hunt it in the famous pond in the resort area where it can be any level from 1 to 100. Unfortunately though, not everything can always go how we want it to. When I was visiting, oh my god, shiny Magikarp. Well, my drought's over. And it's another phase. 3171. At least it's something new. I mean, this is a cool shiny, I'm happy to have it. By now, I had been hunting Feebas for a solid 3 months. I certainly wasn't reaching the point of impatience yet, but as time went on, I was definitely getting more and more ready for the hunt to be over. I had one of each of the 2 possible phases. I was nearing the expected number of 16,384 total encounters to finish a 50% shiny hunt, and I had certainly been hunting long enough to have gotten the full Gen 4 fishing experience. Additionally, the Riolu and Smeargle hunts I was doing alongside Feebas were starting to drag on as well, which meant I was stuck in a rut where I just could not get a target to save my life. Then, late one night towards the end of February, I was nodding off while watching a stream for my friend Detective Mocha, just to be startled awake by the sight of a second shining golden Magikarp. Obviously, phasing on a second one of the same shiny wasn't ideal, but there were some positives to take from it. I now had one to evolve into Gyarados, and while I obviously already had plenty of Gen 4 shiny Gyarados, getting a shiny for free is nowhere near as cool as having a full odds one, and the summary screen will always say that I caught it in Mount Coronet, not the Lake of Rage. Still, at this point, the only shinies I had found in the last 3 months were 2 Safari Riolu that ran from me and 3 golden fish. As time passed after the second Magikarp, the Smeargle and Riolu hunts finally came to a close, but the Feebas encounter number still kept going up. This phase was the first to pass the 10,000 mark, pushing the hunt above 26,000 overall, but despite the much higher than anticipated encounter number, I really wasn't sick of the Feebas hunt yet. Rather, my ire at how long it had taken was mostly due to the fact that I had so many plans for cool shiny hunting projects that I could only start once the DTQ was over, yet this silly little fish stubbornly refused to let it end, nearing 3.5 years since I had started it. As the spring months of 2025 went by, my goal became clearer, to find Feebas before Safari Week in June, when I would have to leave the basement of Mount Coronet to hunt in the Great Marsh. As the phase passed double odds, I began to think, surely if the game is making me do this many encounters this phase, it's at least going to have mercy on me and give me Feebas next, right? And then this happened. Are you sure about that, Snail? Oh my god, are you freaking kidding me? Unreal. Well, that's the third one. I think it's the first female one, at least. Phasing on one shiny Magikarp was cool enough. Phasing on two was fine, but going to 16,000 encounters just to get the same 27.5% shiny for the third time in a row, that's more than a little ridiculous. What can I possibly do with 3 shiny Magikarp? Okay, so it is a little funny to get 3 shiny Magikarp in a row. I've always thought the perpetual stupid looks Magikarp and Feebas have on their silly little faces made them really endearing and sort of inherently funny. The fact that all of my frustration was unwittingly being caused by these dumb little fish made it hard to be too mad at them and helped me come to appreciate them as Pokemon even more. As Safari Week approached, my hopes of finishing the Feebas hunt before the event started steadily dwindled as I reached the 10,000 mark for a second straight phase. While this was disappointing, I at least took solace in the fact that I would finally have a break from my now 400-hour fishing hunt and would have a clean slate. The hope was that the fast encounters from 4X Safari Zone hunting would get me a lot of shinies, allowing me to mentally reset and have a better mindset when I went back to fishing. This did not happen. After failing an execute on the first day, I immediately entered a 34,000 encounter drought. This was honestly one of my lowest points in all my years of shiny hunting. I finally got a break from a shiny hunt that felt like it would never end, just to then have my second longest drought ever, and even that drought ended with yet another duplicate shiny, my second Safari Sunkern. And look, I actually really like shiny Sunkern and Sunflora. This is not a knock against them at all. It's just that this was one of the worst times possible to get a duplicate shiny after months of wanting something, anything new. Mercifully, a little over a week and 7,000 total encounters later, I found and caught one of my main targets of Safari Week, shiny Surfing Duskull and Heart Gold. While Safari Week didn't bring the mental refresh I was hoping for, I at least got a much needed break and a couple of cool shinies out of it. Now that all that was over, it was finally time to get back to Feebas. Wait, no it wasn't, because somewhere in getting my file ready for Safari Week, I had made a mistake and let the clock pass midnight, meaning I couldn't even get back to the hunt without spending another few hours looking for a new Feebas tile. A few more hours really wasn't a big deal in the grand scheme of the hunt, but it really did not help with the whole mindset thing I've been talking about. While this isn't the slowest hunt in the world, and 40,000 encounters is certainly far from the longest hunt anyone has ever done, the constant attention it demanded was getting pretty draining. There is another side to this though. This was the point where I started to get more and more attached to the hunt. The longer it went on, the less it felt like just any old Feebas hunt, and the more it felt like a journey unique to me. One of my favorite things I did relating to the hunt was to tie it in with a project my friend Fex Collects was doing where he was making custom e-reader cards for people in the community. The cards are fun to hand out and trade with people, but more than that, they're actually functional too. By scanning them into Ruby or Sapphire, you can battle custom trainers we created. I could think of no better trio of Pokemon to use for this than the 3 shiny Magikarp I had found while hunting Feebas. We were able to customize a lot about the dialogue and battle itself, so I decided to really play up the bit and make my trainer a fisherman who is absolutely sick of fishing, but forced to keep doing it anyway. No matter what I did to keep myself distracted though, the fact remained that my odds of fishing up a shiny Feebas were still the same as they had been 40,000 encounters ago when I started, and I was still going to have to keep putting in the time and effort if I ever wanted this hunt to be over. Fortunately, a new source of motivation was just on the horizon. Soon after the end of Safari Week came my birthday. For my first birthday stream the previous year, I shiny hunted in Pokemon Violet so I could get my once per year chance to get a Destiny Mark shiny. I enjoyed that stream well enough for what it was, but I just don't enjoy shiny hunting in the modern games as much as I do the older ones. The shinies I get from them will never feel quite the same, and no special mark or title can ever really change that. For my birthday stream this year, I decided to forego the birthday hunt I felt obligated to do, and instead hunt the shiny that would mean the most to me. I put together a new birthday layout, asked some friends if they wanted to hop in a call with me, and got ready for a long day of fishing. And look, you saw the title of this video. I'm not going to try to play this up like some big surprise. You and I both know what happened next. But on the day of, I obviously had no idea, beyond a basic, haha, wouldn't it be cool and silly if I got Feebas on my birthday? So I'll just let my past self speak for himself here. I'm gonna stop
It
at
isn't like a place to me, it's like a song lyric. Does that make any sense?
Illinois?
Yeah.
No, that doesn't make any sense actually.
Okay. Well, it makes sense to me. I just don't view it as real. You know, it's just that place in a one song where the trees got cut down. So.
I don't know what song this is.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't. It's like a local band from here. So, yeah.
Why are they singing about Illinois?
Because the trees got cut down into paper for school in Illinois.
Shiny Feebas, what?
Oh
Yes!
my gosh!
Yo! I was here.
Oh my god! I can't believe it! What?
You're actually free.
It's purple!
We can leave Mount Coronet. See the sun.
Yo! This is awesome. Congrats!
13123. 46,498. This number is how many Feebas encounters I've done. It's so good. It looks so good. Thanks for all the congrats. On my birthday, 10 months and it was on my birthday. That is unbelievable. Okay. I am not using the touchscreen. I am highlighted on bag. Pokeballs. Dive ball. Use. Using the dive ball. This is a guaranteed catch unless the catch rate calculator lied to me. I forgot to pause the music. Okay, that might be annoying, but I don't care. Feebas was caught. It's done. It is a shabby and ugly Pokemon. No, it is not. I disagree, Pokedex. You are evil and wrong.
Have you ever
It is
seen its
beautiful.
range model from the front?
I have not,
It's
but
got
I
like
want to.
blunt cheeks.
It's very hardy and can survive on little water. Whoa, it's just like Jack, who survives on no water because he has rabies. It is. Bold! The synchronized worked. Let's go.
So glad that happened now, because I have to go like check the oven. I think if I
Yeah,
had my
don't
headphones
burn
in
your
when I did that,
food.
I might have genuinely killed myself, burning myself on the food, reacting to your shiny. So, glad that didn't happen.
I'm
Convenient
glad
timing for me.
too. Regular Magikarp, my hero, and shiny Feebas. It's over. 10 months. Caught on my birthday. When a long shiny hunt finally ends, the feeling you get is much different from when a normal hunt ends. The joy you would normally feel from seeing a very rare and special creature appear on your screen is compounded with a feeling of pure relief, and this combination makes those shinies feel that much more special. But when your longest hunt in your 8.5 years of shiny hunting coincidentally happens to end on your birthday against all odds, it doesn't take a genius to see why this one means so much to me. The moment I found my shiny Feebas fully capped off its rise up the list of my favorite Pokemon to land it firmly within my top 10, but this rise is something that had been brewing over the course of the whole hunt. All that time spent watching these silly little fish go across my screen made me think more about the Pokemon itself, which made me realize how wonderful I find the ridiculous process of finding Feebas in Gens 3 and 4. The early gens of Pokemon are full of hidden mechanics like this that have just enough clues to get you intrigued, but are obtuse enough that most kids playing the game will most likely not figure them out on their own. This in turn makes the games ripe for playground rumors about which secret mechanics are real and which aren't, playing into the social elements that Pokemon has always been about. All of this means that Feebas as a Pokemon perfectly exemplifies the weird, whimsical nature of the series that has made it so captivating to me for most of my life, and I absolutely love it for that. When you combine this newfound adoration I have for the species itself with the unbelievable circumstances of my shiny encounter, you get a Pokemon that is about as special as a bundle of code in a tiny little piece of plastic can ever get. I firmly believe that the attachment we build with all of the creatures that have been created for the series over the years is the reason Pokemon is as popular as it is and why it's so special to so many of us. With a series this big, there are all sorts of ways to enjoy it, but for me, there's no better way to get attached to a new buddy than by full-odds shiny hunting. So go on, do that absurd shiny hunt you think is too hard for you. You might just end up with a new favorite because of it. Now that I finally had my shiny Feebas, there was so much I wanted to do. While I of course was itching to do the rest of my DTQ playthrough that was so tantalizingly close to the end after almost 4 years, I really wanted to make sure I took my time with my Feebas before it evolved, because it was now one of my favorite Pokemon and I wasn't going to get another shiny one for a long time. I made sure to check out some of the other sprites for Feebas and the other fish I got, took them to Battle Revolution where I got to experience the absolute joy of seeing front-facing Feebas, and then started trading it up a bit. Feebas is obviously not a powerhouse in battle, but unlike Magikarp it can actually learn TM moves, so I was at least able to fight some wild Pokemon and early game hikers with it and get a few levels in before evolving it. I had been looking forward to cooking treats for my Feebas to evolve it for a long while, but from watching Sir Toasty-Toe's excellent contest stats video, I found out that making better Poffins yourself than the ones you can just buy requires several people and a bunch of berries that are super time consuming to obtain, so I begrudgingly went the store-bought route. One of the contest judges also gives you exactly one free Poffin per save file that is outright better than anything you can make yourself. So by getting a few of those from save files I had lying around and using the ones from the department store, I was able to get my Feebas not just enough beauty to evolve, but functionally perfect contest stats for when I eventually try to get all of the Gen 4 contest ribbons on it. With its sad meal of 6 TV dinners out of the way, all it took was one quick level and it was finally time for my Feebas to become a Milotic. Fittingly for the Pokemon all about beauty, Milotic has one of the most gorgeous shinies in the whole series, and I've wanted one for as long as I can remember. It was a completely surreal feeling seeing this magnificent shiny on my DS screen after not just 8 months of looking for it, but also so many years of really wanting one. Now that the last evolution was done, my Platinum Dream Team was finally, truly complete. In the time it took to finish the team, I had gone from knowing almost no one who really cared about shiny hunting to knowing so many awesome people who knew without being told exactly what that moment meant to me, and seeing them be excited with me made the completion of the team somehow even more special. However, while the DTQ team was done, the full playthrough wasn't quite finished yet. To me, it doesn't feel right to do a DTQ without also hunting the box legendary, and in Platinum, this means hunting what is widely considered to be one of the greatest shinies of all time. I had something in mind for this hunt that would make it much more interesting than a normal shiny hunt, but that's a story for another video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you then.
This is an important battle.